Singer-songwriter RAYE has had the kind of year other artists can only dream of.
The winner of the Brit album for the MasterCard Album of the Year goes to RAYE. 21st Century Blues.
Becoming an independent artist has definitely been the best thing I've done.
I'm so proud of this album.
After leaving her label and going independent, she's won 6 Brit Awards.
I'm in love with music. All I ever wanted to be was an artist.
I've found my feet again, and I'm in control of my career. I get to choose what music I share. This album is untainted.
Ladies and gentlemen, RAYE.
The music industry loves a good success story. They'll take credit for discovering artists, shaping their careers, and turning them into superstars. But what happens when the industry itself is the biggest obstacle standing in an artist's way? Enter RAYE, a singer, songwriter, and producer with more talent in her pinky finger than some artists have in their entire catalog. She's worked with some of the biggest names in music, written songs that have topped the charts, and even made history at the Brit Awards. But the crazy thing is, just a few years ago, she was begging her record label to let her release an album. RAYE wasn't being held back by a lack of talent or demand. She was being actively blocked from putting out the music she wanted, and when she finally broke free, she proved the industry wrong in the most spectacular way possible. Hello everybody, it's Nessi. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most frustrating but ultimately inspiring stories in the music industry. How RAYE went from being silenced by her own label to becoming one of the biggest independent artists of our time. Her journey raises a question that the industry really doesn't want us to ask. Do artists need record labels to succeed, or do labels need artists like RAYE to stay relevant? Because if her career proves anything, it's that the music industry's old rules don't apply anymore. So without further ado, let's dive in. Let's take it back way before the Brit Awards, before escapism blew up, and before she was making history as an independent artist. RAYE was raised in South London and had been obsessed with music her whole life. By the time she was a teenager, she was already writing and producing songs in her bedroom. She even attended the prestigious Brit School, the same place that produced some of the biggest British artists like Adele and Amy Winehouse, but she left early because she wanted to start her career as soon as possible, and honestly, she wasn't wrong to bet on herself. At just 17 years old, RAYE got signed to Polydor Records. I don't know if it's Polydor or Polydor Records, let me know in the comments, but she got signed pretty early, and for most artists, that's the moment, the thing that's supposed to change everything. She had the talent, the drive, and now the backing of a major label. And at first, it looked like things were going great. She started working with big names behind the scenes, writing and collaborating on songs for other people, and these weren't just any artists. We're talking about Beyonce, Little Mix, John Legend, Charlie XCX. RAYE wasn't just making music, she was shaping pop music from the shadows. But behind the scenes, her label was already holding her back. Instead of pushing her as a solo artist, Polydor kept positioning her as a feature, a singer-songwriter who could jump on other people's tracks but never really step into her own spotlight. And don't get me wrong, she did really well. She had hits like Decline, Bed, and You Don't Know Me with Jax Jones, but they were all collaborations, songs that kept her attached to other artists instead of letting her shine on her own. And yet, she still had to fight to get even those out. She wasn't being taken seriously as an artist, and worse, she was being controlled. Now, let's talk about something labels do all the time, the definite delay tactic. Here's how it works. An artist gets signed, they get some buzz, and the label starts to see potential. But instead of letting them release an album, the label keeps them on a short leash, dropping singles here and there, throwing them on features, and delaying their full project until further notice. Why? Because labels don't want to invest in an artist unless they know for sure they'll make a huge return, and if they don't see that return immediately, they'll just keep holding them back and keep waiting. For RAYE, that waiting lasted 7 years. She had literally 4 albums all finished, and her label wouldn't let her release a single song.
When you're that young and you know you want to be a musician and a singer, you think record deal, I need a record deal, right? So you just like, oh. And I put pen to paper when I was 17. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I've made it. Do you know what I mean? And I really hadn't. And it actually was a really tough 7 years.
Well, this is where the industry's logic really starts to fall apart. Labels are obsessed with marketability. If they don't think an artist fits into a specific mold, they either try to force them into it or just stall their careers.
I've got different flavors of music that they are scared of. Labels like to minimize risk, and I'm a risk taker.
And in RAYE's case, they liked her as a feature artist, but they weren't convinced she could sell an album, which, looking at her success now, is insane. So she kept waiting and waiting and waiting until finally she realized if she wanted this album out, she had to fight for it, and that's exactly what she did. Here's the thing, getting signed to a major label is supposed to be a dream come true. You would think with RAYE's talent, she would have been given everything she needed to succeed. We're talking about an album rollout, a marketing budget, a clear plan for her career, but instead she was just stuck. For 7 years, Polydor kept her in a cycle of dropping singles but never committing to an album. And at first, of course, she played along, she trusted the process. Labels like to take their time developing artists, right? Maybe they were just waiting for the perfect moment, except that moment never came. RAYE poured her heart into music. She recorded song after song. She literally had 4 completed albums ready to go, and every time she asked about releasing an album, she got the same response: no, not yet.
I really believe in albums, and I really believe
the story of it.
You know, the importance of a body of work, and I think that's also how you as an artist build a fan base and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I kind of got shooed into kind of doing these kind of really, and not to be mean to my old music, because some of it was quite successful, but it was like dance, pop, EDM vibes.
Imagine working on something for years only to be told over and over again that it's not good enough, or worse, that you're not good enough. That does something to a person. In an interview with BBC, RAYE admitted that the constant rejection from her label made her feel worthless. She started believing that maybe she wasn't meant to be a real artist, even though the evidence said otherwise. She had hits, she had dedicated fans, she had industry respect, but Polydor just didn't see her as album worthy. And let's talk about what that really means. Major labels have a very specific formula for what they think will sell. If you don't fit that formula, they won't just let you try something different. They will bury you. They saw RAYE as a feature artist, someone to sing hooks on dance tracks, but not someone who could carry a full project. By 2021, RAYE was at her breaking point, and instead of staying silent, she did something labels hate. She told the truth.
They either listen to me now, listen to their artist in pain, or we part ways and they can save themselves this headache.
And the internet exploded. Fans were outraged, industry insiders spoke up, even other artists backed her up, confirming that labels do this all the time. And here's where it gets really interesting. Labels rely on silence. They expect artists to just accept the system, to take whatever they're given and never speak out, because if they do, it makes the label look bad, and once the public is involved, things get messy.
The whole system is so broken, and it's something that I'm going to war about. I don't care. Having been a songwriter for so long, you see the ins and outs of how things work, and because it's all behind the scenes, there's no accountability.
Within a month of her viral tweet, Polydor dropped her, and honestly, that was the best thing that could have happened, because if they thought this was the end of her career, they were about to be very wrong. So, after years of being strung along by her label, RAYE was finally free. And this is the part where a lot of artists struggle, because going independent means you don't have a massive team, a huge marketing budget, or industry connections working in your favor. But RAYE, she hit the ground running. She started teasing music she had been waiting years to release. No more label execs deciding which singles were marketable. This was her vision, her story, and her sound. Then, in late 2022, she dropped Escapism.
It's a heartbroken bitch, high heel, 6-inch in the back of the nightclub, sipping champagne.
A dark, moody, and genre-blending song, and let me tell you, this was not the kind of song labels would have greenlit as a lead single. It was experimental, dramatic, and over 4 minutes long, way outside the typical formula for a radio hit. And yet, it exploded. It took over TikTok, it climbed the charts, and before she knew it, RAYE had a #1 song in the UK, her first ever chart topper. This was proof that the music she had been fighting to release all these years had an audience. Then came My 21st Century Blues. This was an album RAYE had been dreaming about for years. It wasn't just a collection of singles, it was deeply personal, raw, and emotional. She sang about everything from addiction,
Painkillers and codeine, I got stomach cramps under my sweater. Dark words from his
to body image struggles,
I let my fingers pinch my skin. I'm so hungry, I can't sleep.
to the trauma of sexual assault,
Like the ice cream man, till I felt his ice cold hands.
and the best part, she actually owned it. No label taking a cut, no executives telling her what to change. This was her music on her own terms.
Becoming an independent artist has definitely been the best thing I've done, I think, since I've found my feet again, and I'm in control of my career. I get to choose what music I share. This album is untainted, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's been definitely a wild ride, but I'm at the other end of it, and I'm feeling so good and so blessed.
And people loved it. The album received rave reviews. Critics praised its honesty, its storytelling, and its unique sound. It wasn't just another mainstream pop album, it was art. RAYE wasn't done proving the industry wrong. She went on tour, selling out venues across the world. She performed with a full orchestra at the Royal Albert Hall.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you about one of the many men,
showing just how versatile and incredibly talented she really is. And then came the Brit Awards.
The winner of the Brit album for the MasterCard Album of the Year goes to RAYE.
If there was any moment that made the industry realize they had made a huge mistake, it was this one. RAYE was nominated for 7 Brit Awards and she won 6 of them. That's more than any artist has ever won in a single night. She took home Best Album, Best Artist, Best Songwriter, Best R&B Act, Best New Artist, and Song of the Year. And when she got up on stage to accept her award, she was crying exciting because after years of being overlooked, underestimated, and rejected by the industry, she was finally getting the recognition she deserved. And the best part, she didn't have to compromise anything to get there. For a long time, major labels controlled everything. They had the power, the money, and the distribution. If you wanted to be successful, you had to play by their rules. But in today's world, that's not true anymore. Social media, streaming, and fan support means that artists can go independent and still win.
I think it's a beautiful time in a way how music is discovered and consumed now. You know, I think the people decide. I think the gatekeepers that really used to be able to control what people were exposed to and got to discover is changed now because of social media and all of this stuff. So I think it's a really beautiful thing in that great art is finding its way to the surface.
The success of RAYE, along with other artists like Chance the Rapper and Tinashe, proves that labels aren't the only way to make it. The real difference is who controls the narrative, and when artists take back that control, well, labels start looking very replaceable. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this one. Also, let me know your thoughts on RAYE versus the music industry. I love reading your comments. That's my favorite part. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know. This video was also inspired by a comment, so if you want me to make a video about a specific person or a subject, please let me know. And with that being said, thank you for being here, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon.